Welcome to BookHuddle. I'm your host, Karen Reader with Readgab. Today, our guest is Erin Soderberg Downing, and she's got a lot of books out, but what we're talking about today is what happened then. But first, of course, I always like to give our author a second to introduce yourself and tell us something about you besides that you're an author.
Sure. I'm Erin Soderberg Downing. And some fun facts about me are that I am obsessed with dogs. I have one, but she is asleep in my bed right now and wouldn't come down. I have three kids who inspired me to become a middle grade author,
Mhm.
and now they are all legal adults, much to my
That
dismay.
happens?
It does happen, and I am just sort of devastated. I don't want to let anyone fly, but they're doing a good
Right.
job. And I just recently started doing pottery again because the author Kathy Carr,
Okay.
whose books I love,
Yeah.
she was posting about taking a wheel throwing class, and I did it in college, and I decided I would try to start again, and I am loving it. And so it's like a different form of creativity with like more hands-on control than books, and I'm really digging it. So it's my new thing.
Nice. That is neat. I need to go do a creative outlet. I can't picture that being my one though. I think
It's
I
not
might be
for
okay.
everyone.
I was telling Erin beforehand that I don't puzzle, I don't do this, but I do need to do something. I think that would be good for me. Like
Well,
that
it's
kind
like
of where your brain's free to like think, but your hands are busy.
here's
Right?
the beauty of clay, I've discovered is it's a perfect place to listen to audiobooks. Like, I mean, you're doing something, but you're also reading. And
Yeah.
so I've like been churning through audiobooks like never
Right.
before. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But
That
it's
that
not an
that
art
would
for
be good for me. I should pick something that I could listen because I do chores, and so sometimes it's like I gotta go listen to my audiobook because I'm gonna do chores. It should be a dual enjoyment.
it should.
I like that. All right, so for our author icebreaker, see, I do have the book. I think I have all the books for my author icebreakers because that's what I do is I look around my shelves and say, what will I make a question on now? My son loved this book and I struggled to get him to love reading, and this is the first book I remember him loving. So I absolutely had to base a question on that. A Boy Called Bet. So he has a skunk for a pet. What would your unusual, not the dog, not the cat, what would your other type of pet be?
Okay, so I've always said one of those cute little monkeys that like, sort of just is humanish but
Yes.
also animal-like. However, so I love A Boy Called Bat. This series is so good. Alana Arnold's books are amazing. And this one actually got me thinking, and I am writing a series right
Uh-huh.
now that comes out in January that is like lightly inspired by A Boy Called Bat. It's
Nice.
about these kids who live on an animal sanctuary. Their mom is a veterinarian, and over the years, they have acquired a strange collection of
Mhm.
animal family members. And
Right?
so, into this series, I wrote some of my dream animals, which is like, I would love to have a llama. There's two goats. A big, like lazy, wonderful pig, some chickens. It's all the stuff that I can't have as a city dwelling person.
Right?
I'm also very lazy when it comes to chores and animals. So the beauty of writing about this animal sanctuary is I get
Right.
all these animals, but I don't have any of the work or the cost
Right? Or
involved.
the
So
smell.
yeah, I mean, I think like now thinking back, I'm certain that this was in part inspired by A Boy Called Bat. I loved reading about how he was raising this little baby skunk,
Right?
and what a fun thing to imagine getting to do. So
Right? Right?
yeah.
So unique. I love it. All right, so tell us about your most recent book out. What happened then? What is this
All
book?
right. I'm like so excited about this book. I'm really proud. It took me a long time, honestly, to believe in myself as a writer. I've been writing for almost 20 years after coming off of a childhood of like not being a writer. I only wrote if people told me I had to. And I never thought, well, I could write like a great book.
Right.
But the last couple of years I've been feeling better, and I finished What Happened Then, and it's the first time I said this is a great book. So I like that it helped build my confidence, and I hope that the characters in this story are doing the same. So it's a mystery set on an island, and it's about a summer when a large estranged family gets called back to this family island to help get the place ready to pack up and sell. They find out that one of their aunts has been recently diagnosed with ALS, which is something my grandpa had.
Nice.
And so I finally wrote about it 25 years later. But just the idea of going through something like that alone, she doesn't want to do that. So she's trying to sort of mend the pieces of this family back together and brings them back to this old family island. And there's two cousins, Jax and Avery, who couldn't be more different from one another. And when they get to this island, they find out that when their parents were kids, they used to spend a month out here every summer. And they're like, why have we never heard about this place? Why does no one come here anymore? Well, it turns out that one of the kids in their parents' generation died on this island. And they start to find some missing pages from a diary that they realize was written the last summer their parents were out here, the summer that something terrible happened. And they realize that if they can find all of these pieces of this old journal or diary or what have you, maybe they can kind of put together the puzzle of what happened then that broke this family, sent them scattering into different directions, and just really like broke them all together. So Avery and Jax try to find some healing for their family by kind of digging into the past and this mystery. I'm proud because I wrote a twist into this
Yeah,
story, and I think the twist worked.
I did,
So
and I did not see it
okay, good.
because I am a big predictor. I am
Yeah,
always
I'm not. I'm somebody who can't even predict like a Hallmark Christmas movie. I am like, it's astounding to me that I write books that include plots because I can never see anything coming.
right.
So it was like, what if this is a twist that's only for me? But no,
Right.
the first few people to read it were like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that.
Yes,
So
no, it was very well done. And
thank you.
yeah, on that, you know what? That is just okay to not be into making predictions when you watch shows or read books. Like my husband's like, why do you have to do that? You're like ruining the experience. And so some people are just having a good experience, and that is
Yeah.
just fine.
Mhm.
So yes. So and I like Jax. Tell me the other girl's name real quick. Jax is
Jackson Avery.
Jackson Avery.
Yep.
I like that this is a new relationship for them too, because they didn't previously have connections. I think they knew who each other were, right? I mean, the family, the extended family knew each other, but they
Yeah,
weren't
they all saw each other a couple of years ago at their grandma's funeral,
right.
and they're certainly aware that
Yeah.
everyone exists, but there's no relationship there.
Right. Right.
And Avery's really excited to come out to this island. She's pumped about family. She's so Avery is me as a kid. But one of the things I love about this character is how much joy she can find in like anything. So she gets out there and she's like, what treasure is out here? What will we uncover? Like, what magic am I going to find on this island? And Jax is sort of like, how long am I stuck out here?
Mhm.
I don't have Wi-Fi. I can't do my games. I don't have a phone, sort of nowhere to like hide from the real world. And the two of them draw each other out during this summer and through this like forced connection. And that's why I set it on an island. They are literally
You
stuck.
can't get off. Well, you
Mooned
can with a
on
book,
an island.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I do. And actually, as she's having all this joy, because I know, I mean, in the title, what happened then, you're waiting to figure out, well, what happened? I'm constantly predicting, oh, is it this? You know, when they're going to do one adventure, oh, is it this? Is it this? And so I'm constantly waiting and predicting. But talking about Avery, I love to do little quotes that just stick out for me. So I'm going to, hopefully I quote you right, because I also listen to it. So I go back and I try to hurry and write it
Oh
down.
my gosh. Speaking of which, before you get into this, isn't the audiobook
Oh, beautiful,
incredible?
beautiful.
The
You've got some great
narrators
narration.
did like a spot on job. I have never purchased my own audiobook before,
Yes.
but usually I get a sample, but I listened
Yeah.
to the sample and I thought, I need to listen to this whole book.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's a whole different experience. I am
Oh, yeah.
wildly impressed.
Yeah, and
Okay.
there are some
What you
books
thought?
that you've got to experience both, right? Sometimes I've done
Yes.
the audio and I go back, and some books that are very, very good books, and I'm not going to call them out by name, I have gone and listened to the audio and it ruined the experience for me. A book that I had
100%.
read twice, but I was
Yeah.
like, I needed a refresher for something. It's one of my favorite books, and I was just like, what on earth? How
Yeah.
did this even pass through? And my friend was like, oh, it's okay. Just listen to it at 1.5 or 2 times speed. And I'm like, no, I don't. It gives me
No.
a headache. No, no.
No, that feels too like you're not savoring the experience if you're
Right?
reading through it. I
Right.
know some people that's how they read quickly, but
Yes.
I want to soak into the setting and the characters. And
Right.
yeah, these narrators did just an
Wow,
absolutely
it's beautiful. And
amazing
it
job.
sounded like kids without like, because it's usually adults, but without being like the high pitched voice that you often get for children. And yeah, it was really nice. I enjoyed it. It had good voice and good expression. I agree. Absolutely. All right. So your quote that I loved is one character talking to another, don't apologize for being yourself. Sometimes people need to hear the truth out loud. You're fun and sure of yourself. We all say stupid stuff sometimes. The only time you have to apologize for it is if the stupid stuff hurts someone and causes some sort of problem. But if it's just a stupid idea, not worth apologizing. Even bad ideas can lead to good ideas sometimes.
Yeah, that's like I I feel like I wish everyone would remember that. I hear people apologize for things that they do, say, the way they look constantly. And I did that for a long time. I'm a very dramatic, loud, sort of big person, big personality. And sometimes, especially in middle school and even into high school, like you feel like you just wish you could sort of fit in a little bit better. Like there's a box you were supposed to, you know, cram yourself
Meet a
into.
mold.
And yeah, and so this character was really designed as somebody who wishes she could fit inside that box, but just simply can't. I mean, I describe her as in a crayon box of colors. She's the shocking pink and laser lemon, but she wishes she was a soft cornflower blue or a tan, one of the
Right.
blending colors. And for me, it's like it took until I found people who could appreciate those bright colors. And actually, I dedicated the book to here. I'm gonna read it because I like this
Please do.
dedication.
Yeah.
It's to my friends, my best friends, the special few who help highlight and celebrate my weird, wacky, true colors. But more importantly, honestly, it's for all the readers who are still searching for their people, the
Yes.
ones who love your unique shade of laser lemon and your hot pink flare. Shine bright always so that your people can find you.
Beautiful.
Sometimes people like dim themselves. And then how are the
Huh.
people who are going to love your colors and your flair and your shine and your wacky weirdness? How are they going to find you if you're not
Neat.
being your true self? So I love that Avery, in the course of this book, with her cousin's help, like, he admires that she shines bright and
Yes.
likes that she's somebody who can find joy in sort of the simplest things and helps her see that about herself. So I like that Avery has this summer where she really comes into herself.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because we should all enjoy it. One of my favorite things, and I think it's just a quote that people say, but I remember it's the first time I had ever heard it. I was teaching sixth grade and I was talking to one of my coworkers just at lunch or something and talking about a student. And she says, I love her so much because she is so confident in her own skin.
I love that.
And, right? Just that, just to be yourself. And it doesn't, whatever that is, because like I just finished posting an interview, The Secret of Honey Cake, and she's super, super quiet. So
Mhm.
whatever it is that is you, be happy and content with that. Or if
Yeah.
you're the up and down, because I'm very, very much an introvert, but I can pop up and be like at the same time too. And so it took me, because definitely not in middle school, not in high school. It was towards the end of high school probably that I started to be like, because I just pictured it that you're either supposed to be quiet or you're supposed to be loud. Like there was no, I don't know. I had a very hard time finding that balance. And now I'm just like, whatever I want. I'm gonna do what I
Well,
want.
sometimes people feel like they have to change to be
Yeah.
right
Right.
somehow. And I like that this book is about like neither of the characters change in the way that they act.
Right.
They change in the way that they believe in themselves.
Yes.
So, sometimes you'll see a character getting bolder or more confident and speaking up more. And it's like, no, neither of them really change who they
Right.
are. It's they help each other see that the
Yeah.
qualities they already had were worth embracing.
Right.
So Yeah, I love these two. That's who I'd want to be stuck on an island with if I were stuck.
Yay!
Two of my characters that I've written about, them and Joe from Just Keep Walking. She's also a hoot.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Well, and for me, I felt like because I had two extremes in my personality, I always felt like when I'd be naturally being the quiet or the loud outgoing, whatever it was, I forget the type of introvert that it's called. Um, but I felt like I was being fake because
Hmm.
I felt this need to only be one.
Yeah, sort of posing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so let's go more on that because, and I know it sounds so cliche, how to be yourself, but isn't that so? Actually, I was talking to another author that I was like, so I do themes, that I always try to do themes in my interview. That's kind of my thing of my podcast is we talk about themes in books, but it gets hard because we're repeating the same themes a lot in middle grade books. So sometimes it gets hard to find a new spin on it. And she was like, yeah, like how many times can you say be true to yourself? And I was like, I've never done that very cliche theme. And so I was like, we're gonna do that right now. I
Great.
think it was
Perfect.
because
I'll take it.
it seems cliche, but it's so important. How to become sure of yourself, how to be yourself. Thoughts?
If you're asking me for
Yeah.
the answer to like
Oh
the
gosh.
age-old question, I don't know.
Right.
And I think part of it is time and finding those people who appreciate you for who you are. And
Like
that's
you
a
were saying
frustrating,
in your dedication.
yeah, and it's frustrating to hear that as a kid because sometimes it feels like those people are never going to show up, especially, like if you're in a small town, like you know everyone already and you know that your
Mhm.
people aren't here, but your people will find you.
Right.
And one of the ways, and I don't like suggesting this as an option, but one of the ways that Jax, who's very quiet, and the reason he's quiet is his dad is terrible to him. His dad is
Yeah.
not a nice
Verbally
guy.
abusive. Yeah.
Yeah, just a horrible person who's sort of told him his whole life that he doesn't do or say any of the right things.
Yeah. Just making
And
fun of him, like right in front of him.
yeah,
Yeah. Awful.
constantly
Awful.
criticizing him.
Yeah.
And we've all felt that way, that Jax is and I'm sure we've all treated people like that. Sometimes we don't even know the things that we
Like
say
you
to other
don't mean to because you're
people.
just joking. Yeah.
You're joking, but
Mhm.
it's incredibly hurtful and
Yeah.
it can stick with someone
Yeah.
for a long time. And
It
so
is a
that's why
conversation I have a lot with my
yeah.
9-year-old. Yeah.
So that's why I created this character of Jax where you can see how he's being treated and then see from his perspective how that makes him feel and how he's internalized it. And for him, he's realized he can kind of find a way to be a quote unquote different person when he's online gaming.
Right.
At one point in the book, I have this flagged because I've been reading this as I
Right.
visit schools. He talks about at home, this is my favorite time, the midnight hours, because it's the only time I can pretend I live a different life. The only time I can bury myself in a world where I become a character that other people actually enjoy spending time with.
Oh,
And yeah, it breaks my heart. And I hate reading that, but sometimes like role-playing games can be a great way to try on some different characters and
right.
maybe sort of hide yourself behind a mask to some degree. So honestly, I don't know what the answer is. I
Right.
wish I
Right.
did. I
I
wish
like
I could
the
help.
idea. I like the idea of what you're saying of exploring it. That
Yeah.
you don't, there's not like this box, kind of like we were saying about Avery before, that she felt like she had to be like, okay, and I am this. But there doesn't need to be a set one, kind of like I was saying, that I've got multiple facets of my personality. And
Yeah.
he probably doesn't act around other people like he does behind the screen. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it's a great thing to start
There's sort of
exploring it.
safety in that,
Yeah.
and like that having that character that you're hiding behind. And I mean, as hard as it is to say, like try talking to different people sometimes, like sometimes there's the people who are loud and shine and kind of take all that attention in a classroom, and it's appealing sometimes to be drawn to them and say like, okay, well, they always seem like they're having a great time. I'm going to try to be friends with them. And if that doesn't work, well, then I'm a failure. a lot of times those people are not as confident as they may seem. Oftentimes they're using that personality to hide something that hurts
And
inside,
they feel exhausted by it sometimes.
and they're
Like they
exhausted.
always have to wear it.
Yeah, but so try somebody else, like look for somebody who maybe doesn't seem like you and have common interests, but they may also be looking for someone who brings out a different side of their personality. So it is hard to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and try to get to know new people, but oh, I am so grateful that I've found people who appreciate me, but even now as an almost 50-year-old, there's definitely situations where I go into them and I think to myself, I'm almost sick to my stomach. Like, is everyone looking at me? Am I wearing the right thing? So we all have those times. And sometimes it seems like there's other people who have everything together. They're always wearing the right thing. Their hair looks right. Their jokes always land correctly. And you look at them, but what I hope this book does, what happened then is you can see like Avery in Jax's eyes comes across as confident and loud and always having something to contribute to the conversation, but you can see that she is not feeling confident and she
Right.
wishes she actually says at one point, I wish I had a delete button that worked in real time because sometimes I say things, I blurt them out and I wish I could just reel it back in.
And don't we all? So many.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think sometimes it's just like realizing that like you're not the only person feeling that way. Absolutely everyone feels like they don't fit in sometimes. And no one is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you.
That's
Like
so true.
yeah, that's a hard one to realize, but like no one is as concerned about what you just did as you are. So, yeah.
I love what you said too about maybe it's not those that are the exact common interests that you have. I mean, to some extent, we do need something to bond on, but I've been listening in on things that counselors are saying to children, and that's their first thing. They're always their go-to is find people that share your common interest, which is great. You know, you've got to find a starting point, but more importantly is find those people that you were saying that just accept you for you. And
Yeah.
that is how you be yourself, is being around other people. So then also, I would say, be that person for other
Yeah.
people because we all need
Yeah.
that person.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, like being ready to welcome someone in instead of pushing someone away. Like even if they seem like they don't necessarily maybe want to sit with you,
Right.
but invite them anyway, because
Yes.
that might be the one little outreach that they needed. Like you never know when someone needs like one kind thing that day, and then your kind thing is going to expand into a bigger kindness that they can pass on to someone else. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to feel like they're intruding
Yeah.
either. So yeah, yeah,
Right.
that you make such a good point. Yes, be that person who makes outreach, intentionally reaches out to someone and says, "Do you want to sit here?" And even if like they're not brought into the conversation, they're not
Right.
necessarily involved, like give them a safe space to land for now while they
Right.
figure out their footing.
So if you be that person,
Therapy
you will
session.
likely find that you have that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that because I mean the easy answer is always, well, just don't worry about it. Be happy in your own skin, you know, just have confidence, but that's
But
easier
sometimes that's a
said than
lonely
done.
spot to sit.
Yeah.
And sometimes your people might not be at school. They might not be in your classroom.
Right.
And like that might be something you have to look for too, is like, is there a group at the library? Is
Yeah.
there a group in the community, like a board game club or
Right.
role-playing games or something? Or could you start something? Maybe
Right.
no one will come the first time, but maybe someone will the next time. But it is like that vulnerability is so difficult.
Oh gosh, because I've started little things where I've invited people and been like, this is a fun party that I ended up having by myself. I mean, it was my party, but it was, uh, like that I was trying to start a club that it was like, well, that was a big old bummer. Like it is, it's discouraging, but keep going because that's the only way to success. And then try something else or try going to somebody else's that try a new interest that maybe you weren't into Dungeons and Dragons, but have you tried it?
Yeah. I never thought I would be, but boy, we started playing Dungeons and Dragons as a family during COVID, and I had to stop because I got so into my character building while I was playing the game that I was finding I couldn't really write. I had sort of funneled all of my creative energy into my characters, and
Right.
then we started building these little mini D&D figurines out of
Uh-huh.
clay while we were playing, just to have like a little fidget for our
Right. You need your hands to do something like you were
we just
saying.
pulled, yeah, we pulled them back out recently, and man, we created like a whole world out of clay
Nice.
characters. We would get so distracted in our adventure. We
Oh,
just we started just building characters. That's my favorite part of writing, honestly, is building those characters and making them as realistic as
yeah.
possible. And so, like taking pieces from my own personality, honestly, for
Right.
every character, even Jax's dad, who's
Wow.
not a nice guy. But
Right.
there are things that I have said to my kids that I don't realize are hurtful. And then
Oh,
2 years later, one will come and say, that really hurt my feelings. I've thought about it a lot since then, and I had no idea.
right.
Like, you don't know how much words can hurt someone else.
Right.
And so, I mean, I took there are pieces of his dad that reflect me. There's pieces of Jack's that reflect me.
Right.
But pulling those like true bits of characters out of
Yeah.
yourself is the way to
makes
make
it
them
makes
more
it even more powerful.
realistic.
And then,
Yeah.
like you were saying, that they're, you know, that you have someone dear to you that had Lou Gehrig's disease and
Hmm.
like that puts so much more emotion because oh my gosh, did I feel emotion just when you were giving your recap and I'm remembering it, I was getting goosebumps and almost tearing up because I'm remembering the emotion that you put into that book, just hearing you talk about it. That's a
Yeah, that was not ever since my grandpa passed away from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I always said I wanted to put him in a book someday, and I did. I put
that
a
wasn't the way you.
crabby version of him in
Oh,
Control Burn,
because
actually.
everybody loves a
Um,
grumpy old man in a book.
yeah, so my grandpa was not grumpy. He was a total jokester, but I took pieces of his personality and pieces of, his hobbies and stuff, and I put them into Controlled Burn. But then when I was writing this book, I was trying to think like what would bring this broken family onto an island together. I mean, honestly, why would anyone sign up for that?
Right,
And Robbie, the one who's been diagnosed with ALS, is the one who has tried to maintain a connection over the years. And so when
right.
she calls them all there, they all go. And I mean, this is as good a reason as any, is to try to find this family that doesn't exist so that she does have someone to get her through this because it's a really, really hard disease.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to be alone. She's not married. She doesn't have kids. She has an awesome dog, but she needs that caretaker and people to care for her and hug her on hard days.
Oh, oh, nice. Yes, I love it. I'm getting weepy again about
Sorry.
Robbie. But I do. I love it. And really, I think this is something we can all relate to because often you see that beautiful, perfect family and people think they have it all together. But I don't know what family couldn't relate to feeling like there's some secrets, that there's some hurt, that there's some, and that I'm like you said, you didn't even realize what you said had hurt somebody, that
Yeah.
there's always somebody in the family that's feeling some hurt. So I feel like everybody can relate to this, even if they have a different type of family than here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's always things that are left unsaid, and I'm a big communicator, and I haven't always been. I didn't come from a family that chatted about a lot. In fact, this isn't funny, but it is funny. I still I still remember and give my mom a hard time about this. But about 10 years ago, my great uncle Jim came up in
Right.
conversation, and she said, "Oh, he died 3 years ago." And
Uh-huh.
I was like, he died? No one told
Somebody
me
told
he
me.
died? Like, this is someone I actually knew. And I remember thinking, like, really? We didn't talk about this at all. That's crazy.
Wow.
So, my family never shares illnesses or anything. But I'm a big talker, and so
Right.
I think I tend to over communicate and
Okay.
overanalyze things with my family. I think there's a happy medium. Some people process internally, and that's fine. Some people process externally, like Avery, and that's fine too. But having those conversations is the only way to kind of start to break down barriers and
Right.
start to patch the broken pieces back together. That's not going to happen by magic with everybody like hiding a bunch of stuff back in the closet.
Right. Right. Well, and I think you've taught that to your own family because your child was, I mean, it maybe took a couple of years, but they were finally able to come and say, "Hey, mom, I need to tell you." And they communicated
Yeah.
because they've seen the importance of communication.
Yeah.
Because
I,
it
I'm
just,
so glad, and
yeah.
that stuck with me hugely. But I hate the idea that somebody would be angry with me and
Hmm.
I just would not know.
Right.
There's relationships that I've lost over the years, and sometimes I wonder, like, did I do something? Did I hurt them somehow? Like, what happened that
Right.
caused that relationship to break down? And you don't know.
Right.
And so I always like if I'm having beef with a friend or something, I will say like, here, this is hurting my feelings, or you're being really negative right now. Can we
Right.
talk about why? And I think that makes for a more honest relationship.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I think this is a quote, or maybe it's just a general summary, but it says, "Broken things can be pieced back together with the right love and care." And I
Yeah.
feel like that, it took the kids that they saw a need for it, but there's something that's broken, and there's going to, unfortunately, I feel this way anyways. We're all going to run into some kind of broken relationship in our lives,
For
whether it
sure.
be family, friendship, maybe a relationship with a coworker, a teacher, student, whatever. There's going to be something is going to happen sometime. A relationship's going to break,
Hmm.
and there's going to be important to fix it. Otherwise, well, what else? I guess you just
Yeah.
forget about it, right? And
Yeah.
was it ever an important relationship if you're not going to try to fix what's broken?
Right. And I will say though that there are relationships that sometimes are not worth trying to
Yeah,
mend.
there you
There-
go, because it wasn't worth keeping. If
yeah,
there you
actually, I'm
go.
listening to a book right now called Candace, the Universe and Everything,
Yes,
I think is what it's called. I'm on a panel with her at a conference coming up, and I like to listen to other authors'
of
books
course.
or
Yeah.
read them before we chat. And this is interesting because it's a friend group,
Uh-huh.
and they're not being courteous of one another. And so sometimes there are relationships that may break, and
Yes,
is it worth your time and your joy to
you're
get them
right.
back?
Sometimes the answer is no.
No, and
It's
you have to be
best
okay
to
with
leave it
that too.
broken and leave it alone.
Yeah, and I think that was actually sort of Jax's approach coming into this summer on the island is like, I've never had this family before and I don't need them now.
Yeah,
But by the end of the summer, he realizes this, he's had a summer without his online gaming world. He's
right,
had someone to sort of pull him away from his dad, and she teaches him, like, I hate books that have like a teaching moment.
yeah,
But the thing I wanted to show with this one is and I've had some adult readers who have been critical of this. They're frustrated that his dad didn't have kind of a learning moment. He doesn't
Mhm.
turn into a better person by
Well,
the end
not
of the book.
everybody does.
Yeah, and what I say is it's very hard to change adults sometimes.
Oh yeah,
And I want kids to see that. You cannot always change adults. And
right.
oftentimes they don't know that what they're doing is hurtful. But what you can change is how you hear what they're saying and what you choose to believe. And so
Good.
that's what Avery
Yes, what
does
you
for
choose to
cousin.
believe.
Yeah, she says, don't believe everything your dad says
Yeah.
because it's not true. I know it's not true and you know it's not true. And
Yes.
that's the more important thing. And so, I love that she can help him see that like he is worth much, much more than his dad has ever given him credit for. It's just in a very different way than his dad expects.
Right. Right.
So,
And he chooses to be like, see the value in the relationship with the dad. And that's a fine line that he walks. Because like we were saying, it might be better just to leave it. But I think he's chooses this fine line of maintaining a relationship, but thankfully he sees the value in him and that
Yeah.
he's
It's
not.
still his dad. I mean, he at one point Avery says, like, I hate
I
him
hate him.
to
Yeah.
Jack. And Jack says, like, don't hate him. He's
Yeah.
still my dad. And they have good moments together. They go hunting together. And, there are times where there is like clearly like love and a relationship there, but and Jax doesn't want to lose him as a
Right.
dad, but he needs to stop listening to all of the criticism
Yes.
and find
And not
value.
believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe one day he'll be ready to say
Yeah.
something and try to fix what's broken. And maybe he won't. But as long as he doesn't believe what dad's been saying, as long as he at least there's that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Because
this got to be a serious chat. I'm so rarely a serious person. But I mean, these are heavy topics. They're hard to talk about. And, I like that's the thing. This book has a lot of like hard topics,
yes.
some intense scenes, but
Yeah.
I like that there's also a lot of lightness and humor to it. Because that's the
Right.
reality, right? The world is hard a lot of the time, but like if we don't have humor to get through it,
Yeah.
that's when things get really rough. So yeah, this has gotten to be like it's such a
Right.
opening
Heavy.
conversation. I feel like I'm in therapy.
Well, and sometimes we need that, right? And I can
Yeah.
see behind you, we've got this big old duck book, and I'm feeling like this is not going to be the same emotions felt in that because I haven't read that one. But we can see that you've written some very extremes with what is it called? Is it the Pete? It's a
That
experiment.
one's the Great Peach
The Big,
Experiment.
Big Peach experiment. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've seen it around, and I'm assuming we've got a very different line going on. And I
Yeah.
knew when I went to read your book that I was like, I'm going to be feeling some feels and like I made a little reel about some books, and it was very easy to come up with just a few words to describe it because, family secrets hidden like it has this element of mystery with some very simple words to tell you that there's going to be heavy and there's going to be mystery. But you do still have joy and fun to mix those things.
You want to hear the wildest part of writing this
I
book,
do.
though? So I started writing it while I was living on an island for a couple of weeks. I
Uh-huh.
was teaching some teen writers. I'd been invited by authors Margie Preuss and Mary Casanova to
Mhm.
teach some teen girls writing up in northern Minnesota. And so I started writing this book with these teen writers. And, I was sharing my first pages, which is a really vulnerable experience, but, showing them like, I'm also working through this. And then when I came back to the mainland, I realized I was struggling to write this book set on an island when I was no longer on an island.
Ooh.
So I wrote it in these weird, like gasping chunks
Yeah.
where I would take these retreats different places. But by the end of the book,
Uh-huh.
I knew I didn't want to be surrounded by like the joy of my family and my dog and my real life. So I checked into this kind of disgusting motel in Wisconsin and I spent 3 nights writing the last 10 chapters,
But you
just like,
could maintain the emotion.
so I was in like an island, yeah, like captured within my own sadness. And I wrote the what happened then scene. And I
Uh-huh.
remember I like pushed my chair back and I stood up and I was like, oh, and I knew what was happening. And I still was like taken aback. But yeah, so it's
God.
so this island book was written
Intense.
on a bunch of different islands.
Bunch of different islands. And yeah, I think there's definitely some emotion to be felt. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing, because I think this is very hard to do, which I am not a published author. I just have a bunch of manuscripts floating around. But as I read and listen to other authors' stuff, I'll be like, sorry, I appreciate the lesson, but you're putting it too straight out there. Like it's hard. I feel like it's
Yeah,
so hard, and different people receive it differently, so that's good. But I received it very well when I felt it was very real with you, Erin, that it was just like, yep, and it must that your work paid off, your island efforts.
I appreciate
Yes,
that.
I
Thank
I felt it, and I felt like it was real. The lessons were real. It without being like in your face, and yeah, it was very well done.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
it's I only say true compliments. I do try to find compliments, but I'd say the only ones that are true.
Yes.
Can you tell us what's next?
Oh, yeah. So I have this series I told you about at the beginning. It's
Yes.
called
Oh,
Just
yes, the
Like Home.
farm.
And it is the cutest thing I've ever written. This is just sheer joy. No animals will die in my series. I will
You
tell you that
needed
now.
joy after what happened then.
I do need joy, and it has given me nothing but joy. The best part of writing this series is the research. So I've been going to a lot of like wildlife rescue centers, animal
Fun.
sanctuaries. You know, obviously there's sadness in a lot of those situations. That sadness will not be captured in my series. The little bits of sadness are nothing dies.
Moments.
But what's great is my Instagram feed has been completely taken over with just cute animal videos
Oh,
and
fun.
pottery. And so, which is like, well, and also tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos. So that is my Instagram feed. So I get so excited when I see, like, here is this farm where there's 260 golden retrievers. And I'm like,
Because
how can I be there? So yeah, so this series is really cute. The setting is amazing. It's based on a farm camp that my kids used to go to when they
oh,
were
cool.
kids. And in my mind, I picture that setting. So
Nice.
each book is a different animal that they bring in
Oh,
and
cool.
give a safe space to land while it's looking for a forever home.
Nice.
And it's a different critter in each book. So that's really fun.
Yeah,
Um,
lots of fun field trips for you in your
Really, really fun field trips. And I love animals and they give me joy. If I'm having a bad day, an animal is always the thing to like solve my problem. Because they love like unconditionally, right? Like animals don't judge.
except for cats.
They can so yeah, yeah, I don't
I have a
care for
cat. I love my cats, but
no, I find them creepy.
they're brats.
Yeah, they can be. Sometimes they're really cute. The second book
Yes.
in the series is a litter of seven kittens, and one of them is very grumpy. But the others are just so silly, and they all have different personalities. And I
Yes.
named them after the seven dwarves because why
Cute.
wouldn't I? And so Grumpy is Grumpy.
I
I'm
yeah,
proud.
I am very much a cat person. I have a golden retriever now, and I do love my dog, but I'm forever and always a cat person. And she sleeps with me, and also I kick her off because sometimes she has to be right. I'm like, why are you in my knee pit? Like, get off, that's uncomfortable. And so we have we have a relationship, but I love her.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm definitely not a cat person. My editor is though, and so we've been
Nice.
having a little battle. Like I'm a dog person, she's a cat person, but we're discovering we're both like pig people and cow people.
Cool.
Like any videos that like, you should see our text thread. This is where I kind of go off the rails with random text thread with my editor is all various reels of animals, and we appreciate it from each other. So
Nice.
she's a great editor because she can
That's fun
appreciate
to
my animal videos. Yeah.
send those back and forth. What is a book that you can recommend for us by
Oh,
another author besides yourself?
okay. My favorite author. Well, I have a lot of favorite
Of
authors, but
course.
the like always go to for me is Natalie Lloyd.
It is sitting there
She,
waiting to be listened to. Is it a good
yeah.
audio? Did you listen to it?
Oh,
I'm
it
gonna
is.
listen to it. I'm gonna,
Hummingbird is?
yes.
Okay, so I haven't listened to a Hummingbird on audio. I read it.
Okay.
Um, all of Natalie Lloyd's books are
I have a
just as good as the
Lloyd.
last one. They are my favorite. I love that they're set in the real world, but they have a little touch of magic to them.
The
They have
Carnival one is the one I have on the
humor,
shelf.
heart. And she's also just like the loveliest person. We got to have dinner last year, and I discovered she is as joyful
Which
and
one?
magical and wonderful as oh yeah, The Problem Children, her
Yes,
series.
I have that one, but
It's so
I,
fun. There's
yes,
great characters in that.
Hummingbird's coming up for me. Tell me what you love
Hummingbird
about Hummingbird.
Hummingbird is an absolute gift. It's about a girl named Olive. There is a magical hummingbird. It's all about sort of finding joy in who you are and discovering yourself and confidence. And but her books, the characters, like I feel like you like just can soak them up and appreciate them so much. And the way that they speak, they sound like they're from the South, and I can hear the Southern in it. Natalie actually is one of the narrators of her newest novel, The Witching Wind.
Uh-huh.
I listened to that one on audio, and that was a real treat because Natalie is one of the characters. And then there's a professional voice actor for the other character who does an amazing job. But it was very fun to get to hear
I
one
love
of the characters'
listening
voice
to
I
authors
heard.
read their own words.
Yeah,
That is so
me
fun.
too.
That is
So
awesome.
that's my recommendation. It's Natalie Lloyd.
Perfect. Well, it is seriously sitting in my, I've had to suspend it a couple times in my Libby because I'm like trying to get to it. But I am like, I'm not like every now and then I'm like, all right, I'm giving up. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'm like, I will. I'm getting to Hummingbird.
Lucky you is all I can say.
Yeah, right. Isn't there just those first experiences? It'll be like
Uh,
one of those that you just love the first experience.
yes.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Erin, for sharing your time with us today and for sharing your words with the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It was great to meet you and talk.
I hope that you enjoyed hearing about What Happened Then by Erin Soderberg Downing. If you like my podcast, BookHuddle, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a second and rate and review BookHuddle on your podcast platform, because this really helps more people to be able to find my podcast. Now go and have a fantastic week and read some amazing books.